It's Friday, February 13th, 2026, and all eyes across Europe are locked on one powerful system, Storm Oriana. This storm is now spinning across the Mediterranean basin, and while winds will be noticeable in some coastal zones, the real concern is heavy rain, significant mountain snow, and growing flood risks in several countries. Let's break down exactly what's happening and what's still ahead. Right now, the center of Storm Oriana is rotating over the central Mediterranean. You can clearly see the circulation pattern on satellite imagery, with moisture wrapping around the core. The strongest wind gusts, mainly over open water, could reach 100 to 110 kilometers per hour, especially on the backside of the system. But for most inland areas, the bigger threat isn't damaging wind, it's rainfall totals stacking up on already saturated ground. Across parts of Italy, rainfall is intensifying. Northern and central sections are seeing steady, soaking precipitation, while higher elevations are transitioning to significant snowfall. In the Alps, stretching through northern Italy, western Austria, and into Switzerland, snow accumulations are expected to climb quickly through the weekend. This system is sliding eastward, pushing moisture toward the Balkans. Countries like Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, and Montenegro are preparing for heavy rain bands. In lower elevations, this will mainly fall as rain, and some areas could exceed 100 millimeters over several days. That raises renewed flood concerns, especially near rivers already swollen from previous systems. Further south, Albania and western sections of Greece may also see periods of steady rain, though totals there won't be quite as extreme as in the central Balkans. Now, here's where the broader pattern becomes important. Over the past couple of weeks, the primary storm track has gradually shifted slightly north. Earlier projections favored more activity across southern Spain and Portugal, but the corridor of heavier precipitation is now focusing more towards Central Europe. That doesn't mean Iberia is completely clear. Northern Spain and northern Portugal are still seeing rain, especially near the Pyrenees and the border with southern France, but the heaviest and most persistent activity is now trending northward. Speaking of France, Sunday is shaping up to be particularly active. As Oriana's moisture interacts with another incoming disturbance from the Atlantic, western and central France will see additional rounds of rain and higher elevation snow. This secondary northern system is reinforcing the unsettled pattern and keeping conditions messy into the start of the new work week. From France, the precipitation spreads east into Germany, Switzerland, and again Austria, with snow dominating in colder zones and rain in milder valleys. By Monday, expect a mix of rain and snow showers lingering across much of Western and Central Europe. Let's shift north now. Across Ireland and the United Kingdom, colder air in place means some of the precipitation will fall as snow, particularly in Scotland and higher elevations of northern England and Wales. Accumulations in parts of Scotland could reach around 10 to 13 centimeters, while Ireland may see localized totals near 5 centimeters, especially inland. Southern England, being closer to the Atlantic influence, is likely to see more rain than snow, with only limited accumulations near the coast. As the system progresses eastward Sunday into Monday, attention turns toward Belgium, the Netherlands, and Denmark. Snow may briefly mix in on the leading edge of the colder air, especially in Denmark, where 7-day totals could approach 10 to 15 centimeters in localized areas. In inland parts of northern Germany and western Poland may also see periods of snow showers, though overall intensity will be somewhat lighter compared to the Alpine region. Now let's talk about Scandinavia. In Norway, particularly along coastal and mountainous regions, additional snowfall is expected as moisture feeds into colder air. Some spots could see 10 to 12 centimeters or more, especially where onshore flow enhances precipitation. Meanwhile, Sweden and Finland will remain cold, below seasonal averages in many areas, but snowfall amounts may not be as widespread except in southern sections. Across the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, lighter snow events are possible as systems brush the region. Over in western Russia, snow showers continue intermittently. Back towards southeastern Europe, the story becomes a combination of heavy rain and elevation-dependent snow. Northern Italy, especially near the Alps, could see extremely high snow totals over the next 7 days. In some isolated mountain areas, snowfall could approach or even exceed 100 centimeters when combining multiple systems. That's on top of what has already fallen earlier this week. In lower elevations of Italy, rainfall could exceed 100 millimeters in certain areas. That's significant, particularly in regions already impacted by previous storms. Moving east, Romania and Bulgaria are dealing mostly with rain in lower elevations, though northern Romania and western Ukraine could see a mix of rain and snow. Belarus may also pick up additional snow accumulations as moisture brushes the region. Even Turkey and Cyprus are not entirely out of the picture. As the moisture field stretches southeast, periods of rain are possible there as well, though impacts will be less severe compared to Central Europe. Let's talk totals more specifically. Across the UK and Ireland, rainfall could reach around 25 millimeters in many areas, with snow accounting for part of that in colder zones. Northern Spain, southern France, and Andorra could see over 100 millimeters of precipitation in localized areas, much of it rain at lower elevations and snow in the mountains. In the Balkans, particularly Slovenia, Croatia, and parts of Albania, rainfall exceeding 100 millimeters is possible. That's why flood monitoring will be critical over the coming days. Snow totals in the Alps will be among the highest across the continent. Northern Italy, western Austria, and Switzerland are the hotspots for the most impressive accumulations. So what does all of this mean? Europe remains in an active winter pattern. While the storm track has nudged slightly north, it hasn't weakened. Instead, it's redistributing impacts, shifting the heaviest precipitation from southern Iberia more towards central and northern Europe. The key concerns through the weekend and into early next week include flood risk in parts of Italy, France, and the Balkans, significant alpine snowfall, disruptive snow in Scotland, Denmark, and parts of Germany, continued unsettled, sloppy conditions into Monday. Rivers in previously affected areas will need close monitoring, especially following earlier storms this month. With repeated rounds of precipitation hitting some of the same regions, the cumulative effect becomes the bigger story. Storm Oriana is on the move, and while some areas will see rain, others will see heavy snow. But for many communities, the impacts won't be over quickly. Additional systems are lining up behind it, keeping the pattern active. Stay weather aware, especially if you're in flood-prone zones or mountain regions expecting heavy snow. Conditions can change rapidly, especially where rain transitions to snow. More updates will follow as the situation evolves. Stay safe and keep monitoring your local forecasts as Europe navigates another intense winter weekend.